Thank you.
Okay, hopefully it takes tonight.
Yeah, when I turned it on the last time, there was a bunch of static at the point, so I didn't hear that voice. And then I started taking notes, and it was only when I looked over at the end of the call I saw it wasn't on. So we know it's on now. And I'm wondering, since we missed that because of either my screw up or the site screw up, could you go over your explanation of that correction of status document again?
Against what?
Could you go over briefly the how you came up with the status correction of status document, where you explained the sovereignty grandparents and us as a natural child being also a sovereignty grandchild?
Well, the deed, okay. The deed, the bond of support, okay. It's a bond of support, okay, and that's what everything out here is supposed to be, a bond to support the natural child, okay. Everything that was set up was done by bond, and everything in their system is bonded, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even the receipts that we get, the receipts for transportation or the warehouse receipt, okay, they're all under bond. Okay, so they're all in a debt scenario, and that's basically what a bond is. There's a bonding of something. Okay, so it's under a debt type scenario. Well, that certificate of live birth, okay, is a adulteration against the natural born child, to take and adulterate the assets away from the natural born child and give them to an unnatural child. So it's an adulteration contract, but it's a bond for support, an adulterated bond for support for the natural child.
Will you like me to give you a cigarette? No.
What?
No, Ray, don't talk to someone else.
Okay. And so when you look up in Valentine's dictionary, bond for support, it says a bond conditioned upon furnishing support for a child. Well, most people think that basically they're not a child any longer as soon as they turn 21. Well, you have to look at out here, there's 3 levels of sovereign in this country. You have the sovereign land, you have the sovereign government, and then you have the sovereign corporations. And everything operates in a set of 3s in most cases. Now, we, the living natural child, we came from our spiritual world father and also from our earthly mother. Our parents basically were like the baker and the oven to produce the loaf of bread. That's all that their situation was. The baker put the ingredients in to the oven, and then basically the other additional ingredients were put into the bowl, the mixing bowl, to produce the loaf of bread. Well, that's the same thing that happened with us. Okay? All the minerals came from the earth to form our body. It took our spiritual father, our spirit, to bring us to life and give us a thought process of knowing right and wrong. That's the basic concept. Now, the spirit is of an infinite time frame. We don't know how old it is. The earth basically is also a very old entity. So your spiritual father is basically called a grandfather. Okay? He's grand. And then he's our father, the spiritual father. And then you have the earthly mother, and she is also of infinite time, or a long period of time. So she is also called grand-mother. And then, so that brings us to the child, and we are, since we are a product of two grands, we are a grandchild. Now, this is from the land side of the sovereignty, because we came from the sovereign of both of them. So we are of royal, grand sovereignty. We are a prince of the land. And that's what American stands for. A mayor is a prince of a sultan, a god, or a sultan. I is an individual. Can, one who has knowledge of something of right and wrong. That's really what an American is. So these bonds, and they're a bond for support. They're there to support us. We have to cash these bonds in. We do not write bonds. So do not ever try and write your own bond. Okay? The driver's license is a support bond. The certificate of title to your vehicle is a support bond. Now, there's different classes of these bonds for support. One can be a redeemable bond, and the other can be a bearer bond. A bearer bond is a bond that are not registered on the books of the issuer, but they're physically held by the owner. And that would apply to the DD-214 form for the military personnel. They take their original DD-214 that they have, they place it into the county land records on the military side, and then they get a certified copy of that. They turn around and put a value on the back of that, and that's the three different instruments that I had Tom post up on the group to redeem that as a bearer bond. A bearer bond, you put a value down. It's like a coupon against the master bond. Okay? Read the definitions that I had Tom post up there also to get a good understanding of what this is talking about. Now, like you go into court and on a charge of something, and basically it's a criminal charge. Well, basically the only criminal charge that they can really be bringing against us is that we are carrying a debt. We are not canceling the debt. And there's only one way that you can cancel the debt, and that is to call upon that bond for support. The driver's license, if that's the one that they're putting you under, the certificate of live birth, whatever. You can use those bonds and furnish them in a prosecution for abandonment or non-support of the child. Now, on that certificate of live birth, that adulterated contract, you were either the father or the mother on that bond, depending on whether you're male or female. On the opposite side, you had to have another parent. The other parent became the government. So the government stepped in as a stepfather or a stepmother over this created bastard child, which they call a bond man or a bond tenant. The person's name that is on the bond. Therefore, he's called a bond tenant. Okay, that's not you that's on that bond. That's the adulterated child that's on that document. And he's called a bond tenant. And then when you can read down through, and I put the definition for what a bond tenant: a copyhold tenant, customary tenant, also a bond man. Look up, see what it says about a bond man: a slave, a person bound to serve without pay. He is there to serve for us, and he's not going to get paid. Used to be over in ancient time, basically the prince always had a whipping boy. That when the prince did something wrong, the prince didn't get punished, the whipping boy did. And that's what this bond man is all about. We're the prince of the land because we are an American natural child. And our whipping boy is this bond man or this bond tenant that's on the bond. Now, the certificate of live birth is not is a registered bond, so it cannot be a bearer bond. It is a redeemable bond, a bond which may be called for payment before its maturity. Well, what is the maturity on this certificate of live birth? And I went over that before in some of the past definitions that we had when I found this in the dictionary: a 999-year lease. I forget which dictionary it was in, Ballantyne's, Bouvier's, or Black's. I can't remember offhand. But you can go through those and you can find it. Well, you turn 999 years upside down, and what do you get? 666, the mark of the beast. Now, that is what the baptismal certificate is, and also this certificate of live birth. They are the marks of the beast. They created a bastard child to where either the church or the state came in to be the wicked stepfather or the wicked stepmother in the scenario. Just like the movies have all played out. The Wicked Witch of the East to the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz. See, a lot of this stuff has been out here, and people have been arguing the wrong stuff. And this is also right out of the Bible. Same scenario. Jesus said you had to act like a little child because you are not an adult. Who has to pay for a court case? An adult. One that claims that they are fully mature, that they have totally reached their pinnacle, that they've separated themselves away from Mother Earth and the spiritual Father. They want to be on their own, okay? We're going to treat you like you're on your own then. You're going to pay for that court case. You're either going to be treated as an owner or whatever. But we were supposed to be acting like a little child. That's where we have our protections. Because that's what the instruments are all written for, is for the child. So you're a young master or a young mistress, whatever. Or you're just an American natural child. However you want to address yourself. Therefore, they can't take a child into court. You have to go into a special court, a court of non-record. You definitely do not want a court of record. That's what all the patriots out here have been demanding. I need to have a court of record. Well, we argued the wrong thing. We didn't know that we don't want that. We want to be able to talk to the judge in the back room, like several of the movies do, where the little child goes walking into the judge's chamber and basically sits there and talks to him. Or the judge comes in a divorce case and takes the children into the back room and asks them, what do they want out of this divorce? Takes them totally away from the parents so that the parents cannot influence what the children are saying. That's a totally different court then. That now becomes a total private court, non-record. I had Tom post an updated copy for the certificate of live birth. So you see the one for the certificate of the military certificate or for the baptismal certificate. You'll want to update them to the latest update that I have for the certificate of live birth out there. Do a comparison. Make sure you understand what you're doing before you do these. Okay?
Patrick,
then read the facts that I also sent to Tom the other day that goes along with that understanding that we are a child.
Patrick, when I put the doc version of those redeemable bonds up, I included the changes that you made on the certificate of live birth.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Now, I had Tom post another document up there today for sending in your receipts for transportation. The receipts do you get from Walmart whatever, okay? You get receipts, you bundle them together from the store that you got them from, you turn around and do this document, and you send it in to your bankruptcy court judge or to the trustee for bankruptcy. And these are appeal bonds. So I put up, I don't know whether I sent Tom the definitions of those to go along with that.
No. I didn't get those yet.
You can look these up yourself.
Yeah, I looked up a few already, the ones that I figured I didn't know.
I know where now I put them. Okay. Yeah. Appeal bond. Okay. An appeal bond is a security furnished in perfecting an appeal for the benefit of other parties to be affected. Well, see, that receipt basically is a bond in itself because it's holding a debt attached to it. Now you have to send that receipt in, and this goes right along with the temples that were created back in Moses' time for the goats and the bulls. Okay? Goats and bulls basically were contracts. Think about this logically. They were not animals. You don't set up a fancy temple and then come in and slaughter animals in the damn thing, having blood and guts all over the damn place, flies and everything else stinking the damn place up. You want to kill an animal, you take it outside the compound, the living area, and butcher it out there. Okay? You got to think about what was being said in the Bible in a logical manner. And most people haven't put any logic into the Bible whatever. They just read it and basically let some nitwit guy tell them, or whatever, tell them that this is the way it was. They weren't there, and they aren't using any common sense whatsoever in the understanding of that. Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? Basically, that whole story there. People don't understand that. Basically, Sodom is adultery. The contracts, the adulterated contracts that they were trying to get people into as soon as they came into town there. Gomorrah, along the same lines. So what they have? They had a fire sale, and basically the bankers have scoundreled with all the assets and left town. And then what was Lot doing after that? Getting drunk and having intercourse with a daughter. He was trying to bond himself back into the damn system that he just got out of. The Bible is full of metaphors. It's not the real, actual, physical item in all cases. People are running around and basically trying to go here and there. This whole scenario about this system had to be set up in a certain manner for a district item. That's why we're going to the federal district courts, because the federal district courts are tied into the Federal Reserve, the banking system in this country. Our certificates of live birth and everything are tied in a certain federal district. You go running amok and try and say, oh, well, I got something here, and basically we got to go over to this other bankruptcy place that's 1,000 miles across the country in a completely different environment that you have no earthly idea whatsoever, and you send your stuff off to them. That is one of the damn con items that people have gotten themselves into. I mean, hell, you're best off just to send your stuff out to Las Vegas and take a gamble on whether you're going to get the damn thing back or not. People think that I speak from arrogance. I do speak a little from arrogance, but I also speak with passion. And I have been down this road before. I have traded commodities. I have taken the commodity broker's test. I have been a gambler. I have been in high-stakes games. I have been in low-stakes games. I have played just about every gambling game there is out there. I've been into having life insurance policies. I've gotten rid of them. I know that they're not worth a shit. The insurance companies are there to rip you off. Bottom line. Now, if you can't handle the way I say things, then speak up, or forever hold your damn peace. Because I've given people more than ample opportunity to rebut me in the right way. Prove me wrong. But you better prove me wrong and not just say that I'm wrong, and that's it. Bring proof to the table. We haven't gotten a lot of satisfaction in all this stuff because we have been wrong out here. And I have more than ample over the years tried to correct my mistakes. But we had to try and learn from making the mistakes and then know that we had to correct them.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you make the mistakes, you will never know that it was a mistake to begin with. You have to walk the walk to be able to talk the talk. And I think I've done enough damn walking. And see, to get a complete satisfaction, and see, we turn these things in as these receipts. You don't put an invoice in. That's what I did try to do before and say, hey, I want this much back out of my receipts. No. You don't make an invoice. You just bundle all the receipts up. Okay, you can sort of keep a private copy and say, this is how much I sent in, and then see how much you get back. But see, they have to take those into the temple, and they cut away the fat, the taxes. They take their 10% off the top. And see, that's what I put in this fax that I sent to Tom this morning. That basically they're obligated, they take out their court fee out of the appeal bond, out of those receipts. And then give us the good that are left over. Of what we paid out of our back pocket. So we'll have the merchandise, and then we'll have a compensation out of the thing to compensate, in a lot of cases, for the inflation factor that has been built into that, taking it from us. We're not going to get the full value for the receipts that we sent in, but it's going to be more than what you really have right now. So everybody, Monday morning, ought to be having, take a pile of receipts for one company and put them together, put one of those sheets in there, and send it into your bankruptcy court. Take another letter, do another company, put those receipts in there, send a bunch in. You turn around and start getting those receipts out of your back pocket. What does the IRS try and do? They tell you to hang on to the damn receipts. They want you to be a debtor. Mm. That's what the IRS wants you to be, because the IRS is working with the banks. You owe no taxes. And the way you get around that is you send these damn things in and get them out of the being in a bonded situation. Your property taxes, the same thing. You send those in to the state. You can take your certificate of title to the house. That is a bond for support. That bond is supposed to be paying the taxes. So basically you surrender that, you redeem that bond, and then if you want, you can go on down and get another one for next year. Mm-hmm. It's only going to cost you maybe about $10 to $20 to get another bond for next year. But if you're smart enough, you'll redeem the whole thing, clear this bond off, and then you'll go down and you'll contract for the services that you want. You don't have any kids in school, you don't have to pay property taxes or school taxes, which in a lot of cases is well over half of the damn property tax. If you're not transporting any debt around any longer, you're turning around and you're getting rid of it before 30 days is up, then you don't need a driver's license because you're not driving bonds or debt around. You're not a debtor. Therefore, you're not breaking the law, and the only reason you need a driver's license is to be able to break the law by transporting debt. The Church of Rome, that vicar general and basically all of his minions and that nitwit over there, that little pious ass that's sitting on a damn throne over there in Rome, wearing the triple tier hat and everything. He is one of the biggest violators of the Ten Commandments out there. Mm-hmm. Committing adultery with that baptismal certificate. That's what the church tries to get you in under that baptism. Okay? You're just supposed to have your sins washed away. Where in the hell did this damn contract come in then? That's an adulteration right there. That's adultery. I don't know why people haven't figured this one out over the years. I don't know. Think about this one. You were in school. You acted up in school. What did the principal do? He called the parents in. Well, basically, if your adulterated child is acting up, the one that's being called in the court, you come in, and basically you're acting as one of the parents. Well, what about the other parent? The stepfather or the stepmother? They took your money away from you, so you have no means to pay for the child. Therefore, it's the stepmother or the stepfather that has to make the settlement. And that's where this bond for support comes in. See, that bastard child is really a ward of the state. You, as the natural child, are not a ward of the state. Okay. I think I've rambled long enough to try and straighten this out and put this out there for what you need to do. And see, you come in on your bastard child's behalf. Okay? And you put these in just like at the commodity board. In Chicago, New York, Kansas City, where commodities are traded, and you put it in as an on-call. On-call means on demand. When demanded. At any time called for. And you're putting it on call right now. An on-call has to be settled within 3 days in the commodity brokerage world. Well, these federal district courts are no damn different. They are a court of equity when you come in. They are a governmental commodity board, court of equity. All of those attorneys and everything else that are running around with a bar card, they are a brokerage authorized agent for the governmental bond corporation. Or the state bond corporation. You have to start holding them accountable for that action, that type of action. Okay. Go ahead and open it up to questions. Supposedly you guys are supposed to have some questions waiting from what Tom and everybody was supposed to be passing around on a Skype group. That's why you're having this call tonight, because you're supposed to have questions ready to ask me. So go ahead.
Right. Well, one of the people on the Yahoo group asked for the address of the Vicar General in Rome, and I responded that you have to send it to the Vicar General in your diocese. In fact, when I called my diocese in Toledo, and they said each diocese has their own Vicar General, and mine is actually 12 miles southeast of Toledo in the St. Rose's Church or something like that. So it's not necessarily the diocese headquarters.
Yeah, you can either send it to the local diocese. I'd also copy the Vicar General, either in Washington, D.C., under the Archdiocese of the District of Columbia, or the Vicar General for the Archdiocese of New York.
Not
Those are the two key main archdioceses for this country. Huh?
Not the ones in your district?
You do both, okay?
Okay.
I would send notification in to the main archdiocese that you informed the local diocese.
Right.
But I would send a certificate of baptism or whatever in along, and in most cases you're going to have to do an allonge. So you print this out on another sheet of paper, and then you attach that as an allonge to your baptismal certificate. Now, I don't know what's going on right now, because basically we ended up hitting this time frame to where right now they're in a monetary adjustment factor. But if you don't get your stuff in, you're not going to get yourself identified as a natural sovereignty. You're still going to be classified as a debtor.
Right.
And that's one of the key things, is that you have to get your natural sovereignty, not sovereign, but sovereignty established, and try and put in as much items as you can, trying to prove that you are canceling the debt that basically is hanging around your neck. Not saying that we will get it resolved right away, but we'll have it documented.
Yep. The question came up again about, I'm not in the Catholic Church. And I responded that most churches have some kind of relation with the Church of Rome, not the Catholic Church.
Yes, it's the Church of Rome. Roman Catholic Church is just one of the denominational churches that came out of the Church of Rome. And basically, the old saying that's out there, and I'm sure that everybody has heard this saying before, all roads lead to Rome. That means that all churches derived their existence from the Bible that came out of Rome. Even the Jewish Bible really had its existence coming back out of Rome. Because it was the Jewish ones that really came into Rome, the money changers, the merchants of religious law that took control in Rome.
I notice we don't sign the new receipt sent-offs. Or does it hurt if we go ahead and sign it?
No. Just put them in the damn envelope and send them off. You give the address and say, hey, you send what's due back to me. I don't think anywhere in the Bible, when they took the cow or whatever, that they signed anything. They just gave the contract over.
Okay.
Say, here, give me back what's due.
Pauline had a question on how are equity courts more preferable? Aren't the judges more arbitrary in the equity courts? Do you want to go into that, Pauline?
I'm not sure I understand the question. What are you trying to get at?
My question was, looking up Court of Equity, it says that they have...
You're reviving. I can't understand what you're saying.
Do you have your speakers on, Pauline?
I do.
Okay, yeah, turn them off because that produces an echo. Or get away from them somehow.
Is that better?
It's a little better.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Don't speak up as loud. That's great. That was perfect that time.
Okay. The Court of Equity, the definition of it, that they have the right to judge according to basically constitutional law, and
It's still breaking up quite a bit.
is there a possibility that they don't accept the...
Tom, you know what her question was. Rephrase it and try and speak clearly also.
Okay. Let me go back to where she posed it on Skype. She had read an article about equity courts in Wikipedia, which is really more a history of equity courts than it was a definition. Well, it was a long article. I just scrolled back past it. Okay. My question for tonight is, as I was looking up the Court of Equity, I came across that says the decision is up to the judge. So I want to know if it's necessary to have something to follow the documents for enforcement of these documents.
Okay, really, this is a court. This Court of Equity, okay, is the court of the American equity. Okay. The enforcement is that we are an American sovereignty, okay? We are the sovereignty of the land. Now, we're coming in and we're putting these bonds in, okay? Bond for support. Now, when you come in and see, like, you go into traffic court and basically turn over your certificate of, or your driver's license to make the payment, you're standing there as the insolvent parent, and the state, on the other hand, is now the sovereign parent holding that bond for support.
Understood.
So it's almost like a court of chancery also, because you, as the natural child, if you really want to, in these courts, take a 8 to 10 foot step ladder in there and climb up to the top and sit on the top rung to where you sit higher than that judge does, because this is now a royal court of chancery, and you're basically the royalty that's in that courtroom. Think of it that way. Go to the movie The Merchant of Venice. You are the prince sitting up there in the court. It's your court. And basically that judge is nothing but an adjudicator.
I live in New York, and New York has abolished the New York State constitutional convention.
Really can't understand you.
New York Court of Chancery. So.
Oh yeah, the beginning of the article on Wikipedia actually used the Court of Chancery in London as a prime example of a court of equity.
Right. And see, that's the royal court. Because where is the equity? The equity is in the land.
Mm-hmm.
The government has to borrow from the land, and we are the land, and the corporations have to borrow from either the government or also from the land also. So, out of the three sovereigns that are out there, the land is the highest sovereign of the three.
Mm.
And we, as a natural child of the land, we are a sovereignty or a prince or princess of the land. Therefore, we sit higher than the government as long as we refrain from being a debtor and stand only as a creditor.
Okay.
Follow that understanding?
My question is, do I still send myself to the U.S. District Judge?
I can't understand you.
Yeah.
You're reviving. Okay, you either got to shut your speakers off on your computer, or you got to put a headset on.
Yeah,
Stop using the computer, the laptop by itself. You need to have a headset because you're feeding back through the speakers on the laptop into the mic.
Type the question into Skype. Now, because you have a lot of noise now.
Yeah, a lot of background noise.
No, that's much worse. So type your question into Skype, and then I'll read it. Any other questions while she's doing that?
Patrick, what were you saying about the 30 days when you mentioned you turn around the transporting? You're not if you're not transporting any debt any longer. Something about turn around and get rid of it 30 days.
30 days normally is the maximum time that you are allowed to carry a debt. When you get a utility bill, how long do you have before you have to make that payment for the utility bill?
30.
30 days. You should be able to turn around and get that sent off back to either the bankruptcy court or through the state, if it's a state utility bill or whatever, and find out, okay?
Well, this wasn't, you were mentioning a driver's license, and I didn't know how that was.
Well, that's for a traffic ticket. Basically, you get a traffic ticket, you turn around and send that back into the court, and basically go right in there, take it right in, and say, hey, I'm here to pick up the appearance bond, and I'm also here to have this set off against the bond for support. I was calling it an insurance policy before, so I was using the wrong term. It's the correct term is the bond for support.
Okay.
See, that's what I'm saying. We have been right on the money in everything we've been doing, except we've been using the wrong terms.
The words. And I just was a little confused because you had also right before that had mentioned about the driver's license, and I was trying to figure out, well, how 30 days on the driver's license, and I couldn't put it together, so I get it now. Thank you.
Yeah, 30 days, like if you have traffic tickets or something like that. Normally they don't have a court case for up to about 30 days afterwards.
Right.
So they give you almost 30 days to settle the books.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, Celine, what Celine wanted to say is that New York State abolished the Court of Chancery in 1847, and its jurisdiction was changed to the New York Supreme Court. So she's asking, am I to fax to the Supreme Court or the U.S. District Court?
You go to the United States Federal District Court, because that court was modified in 1938. The whole court system in this country was modified in 1938 under Roosevelt, after he got control of the Supreme Court.
It's been downhill ever since.
Yeah, and basically but see, they had to do that so that they could put these bonds for support in and bring in their bastard children scenario into play. When did the driver's license first start coming about? After World War II. Prior to that time, you didn't need a driver's license.
Not on the wall.
There was no chaos. Everybody thinks, well, basically, if I don't have a driver's license and the other person doesn't have a driver's license, there's going to be mass chaos on the road out there. Well, basically, hopefully, there are a bunch of people that basically go out and kill themselves off the road because there's too damn many nitwits out here anyway. Let's get rid of a few of them. If they're that damn dumb, get rid of them. Let them take care of themselves and get them out of this planet. If they cause harm and take somebody else out with them, basically that other person didn't drive very defensively. Driving down the road too damn close. Tailgating. thinking you need to get to hell in a damn hurry.
Right.
No, I get sick and tired of people saying, hey, well, basically, if we don't have these things, then basically we're going to have mass chaos. Well, that's total bullshit. There's been mass chaos in this planet ever since day one. When they allowed the damn bankers to get taking control.
Amen.
They're the chaos. They're the ones that are putting the undue pressure on everybody to try and get there because they're afraid they're going to lose their damn job if they don't, and they overslept. They got to get right there to work right now. So they drive like bat out of hell to try and get there so that they won't lose their job. Because we got to work for the man. We're a slave to the man. Yeah, slave to the damn banker. Okay, I'm done rambling for a little bit. Go ahead and ask your questions.
Any more questions, guys? I've gone through the list that we prepared before. Do you have any more, guys, or you want to wrap this up? I really appreciate your coming on, Patrick, and making up for the screw up on the call, and the explanation tonight was just as good, or if not better, than the one you made the other day. So that's really good. Thank you.
Well, I want to apologize if you people think that I'm an arrogant asshole, but I got to admit, I am. So, that's it.
Okay.
I wouldn't use those terms. Incorrect terms. Those are incorrect terminology, Patrick. You're just very passionate about what you're doing. Sometimes the delivery's a little strong, but you're the one putting a lot of the effort in behind it, so that's definitely appreciated on this end.
Yes.
Now, see, all of these guys out here, whether you know it or not, they're endangering our life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And that's why I see it. I see why the passion is there about the timeliness of doing the things that needs to get done too.
Yeah.
Because it's increasing.
Right.
You know, they've upped the magnitude of what's going on out there, and it's become very dangerous for many people.
Yeah, see, in a lot of cases, you go through and you really want to do something sort of slightly different. Like in Ballantyne's dictionary, Tom has those broken out on there by each individual letter. Well, if you got a good PDF program, open one of those letters up, and then in the PDF, do a word search for child throughout that whole alphabet letter, and read the definitions to every time it comes up with child. And basically, you'll find some very interesting things.
I also have a text version that's very clean out there of the Ballantyne's dictionary, and what I've done is put all the letters into one A to Z file. And I find it much easier to go through that rather than having to worry about the individual letters, because I can catch things from all over then.
Well, basically, you're searching a lot at one time, where if you just sort of take it in step format and do one letter and go through and study all the words in that letter that have child in them tonight, and then basically 26 nights from now you'll have all of them covered. Okay? You don't have
Yeah,
to
you-
do everything all in one shot, okay? Take a little
Well-
time. Let the thing soak in, okay? You got to have a little soaking time, too.
Sure.
Abduction, okay, doesn't necessarily mean that you are taking something totally away. Abduction, the first statement in abduction means unlawful interference with a family relationship. And then by taking or leading a person away. And that's what in a lot of cases they are abducting, and it also has the word ward in there, in abduction. And see, they've abducted our bastard child away from us, the natural parent, by the stepfather or the stepmother taking the child away from us. And that also comes in under ravishment or kidnapping. And also, to ravish is to rape, to seize, to carry away with force, to re-rapture. Well, what is the final book in the New Testament? It's calling about the rapture. Or it's the final ravishment of the people.
Mm.
The banker's final push.
Wow.
Yeah, see?
Oh,
Now you
Very
start
storytelling.
putting these words together by going through the dictionary, and now you can build upon what the damn Bible is saying. We've been told a lot of things by the different courts. Some of the judges have come out and said, hey, you can do this yourself. Well, we're the only ones that can basically put these documents in and come in and do either the redeemable bond or the bearer bond for the bonds for support. We're the only ones that can do those. You can't do those in a group or a class action suit. It's got to be on an individual basis. We have proof out here that basically when somebody stands up and takes the certificate of live birth or some other bond and turns it into the court, in a lot of cases, some of these courts run for the hills because they know right then and there they are had if they take that document. They're now under the gun. They don't want to touch it. you have to be sneaky enough to get it into their possession. And then after 3 days, now they're in violation of the law. And you don't let them up. You keep harping on them. You're here to protect the sovereign of the land. From the sovereign government and from the sovereign corporations. They are the enemies to the land. When they do not comply with the natural laws. Any other questions? Any of you newbies out there have any questions? They might want to try and get caught up on.
No, I don't see any newbies here today. Feline is the newest one, and she dove right in.
What was that, Tom?
You're the newest one, Feline is the newest person out here, and she dove right into the process.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and call it a wrap so you can get this out to other people if they want to listen to it then.
We'll do that, because I can get it up very, very quickly after the conference.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you for helping us make it up.
You guys take care. Okay.
You too. Good night.
Good night.
Right.